Hello, it's good to talk with you again. I'm looking forward to explaining why I think the hotel booking should be what we advertise the most on. And I'm glad that you want to know more about this, and I'm really just glad that I can help. So, before I do that, I'd like to first describe common management accounting performance measures. So some of these may include making sure we have a balanced scorecard, looking at accounts payable and accounts receivable. Also looking at return on investment. For example, let's say, the spa was doing really bad. We might think, or the food industry was, the food aspect was doing really bad. Then we might say, hey, look, we should maybe cancel this and just do the hotel booking and spa. But as you'll see later, that's just not the case. And then also profitability analysis. And so that's mainly what we're talking about here, and how, and looking at which aspects of the company are profitable and how we should go about advertising them to make them more profitable. Next, I'd like to like perform talk about responsibility center budgeting. And so what this basically is, it's pretty similar to what I already said about common management and accounting performance measures, but it's basically just, I'm going to be looking at the costs and the revenues to determine how we should best allocate the advertising money to increase our profitability. So, but in order to for me to determine how which branch would best be serviced by increasing advertising, I had to look at our financial statements and determine the profit margin for each department. And so I'd like to explain what these profit margins mean. So the printer had some difficulties, as I'm sure you know, and so the numbers came out a bit blurry, but I did my best to try and determine how what the profitability was for each branch, whether so I looked at I could only make out three. So there's hotel booking, food and revenue, and the spa. So I was able to, and these financial statements covered this current financial year, last financial year, and then the financial year from 2 years ago. And so I was able to determine all the profitability percentages for each, or profit margins for each year for hotel booking. So what I found was 2 years ago, or at 5.2%. 1 year ago, it was 5%, and and then this current year, it's either 0.1% or 10%. I could not tell whether you sent me if it was a typo, because the revenue far exceeded that of the last couple years. I think it was like 50,000, whereas the others were like in the 10,000s. Yeah, and so it was 0.1 with the 5,000, or 50,000, and it was 10% at 5,000. And obviously 10% is double the other years, which I think were around like 9,000, 10,000. So then I looked at food and revenue, and I was only able to determine the profit margin from the financial year from 1 year ago and 2 years ago, simply because the profit margin from this current year was blurry, and both of those were at 19.8%. And I should have explained that you determine the profit margin by dividing net profit by revenue and then multiplying that by 100, and that's how you get the percentages. And so lastly, I looked at the spa, and I was only able to determine the profit margin from 2 years ago with the blurry sheet, and it was around 19%, which is right around where the food revenue was, a bit lower, but still pretty good. And so this led me to make my decision that hotel booking is where we should spend the most amount of our money on advertising, and that's because it's has the least amount of profit, and so we need to. If we increase our advertising, more people would maybe consider spending a night and using the spa instead of maybe just coming to the spa and leaving, which I think is probably that could happen, and it could also be as a result of the fact that that's probably the main reason as to why, without unless we wanted to cut costs, but we're just mainly focused on advertising. So we should spend the majority of our advertising money on the hotel booking because it is our least profitable aspect of Ho's Resort and Spa. And so there are a couple ways where we can maybe spend less money on advertising and still have the same beneficial effect. So we would by doing this we would be able to increase our profit margins in the hotel booking, the food revenue, and the spa, simply because we stretch it out and we're able to still have the same impact. So some of these ways would be maybe making, instead of advertising on television or advertising on billboards, it's cheaper to maybe run YouTube ads or ads on Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook as well. I think everybody's pretty much on social media now, at least on Facebook, and lots of people have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts, and everybody knows about YouTube, obviously. So I think if we focus more of our advertising campaigns on there, as well as maybe running a couple TV ads, just to keep just in case, to catch the people that might slip through the cracks. I think these non-traditional ways would be able to maximize the effectiveness of how we spend our advertising budget, and I think it'd be a really good way to increase the profit margin of primarily the hotel booking in this part of our company, but also the food and revenue and the spa. Thank you, and I hope this really persuades you to spend this advertising money in the right way.